Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Col Koenig.
It's the Rangroo, low.
And folks, we had a bit of a hiatus there for some personal stuff on my end, but we are back today covering the second divisional disaster tournament, disaster divisional tournament. Either way, we got two divisions. They're horrible. Actually, Rank's to tell you a lot about it. Rangroo and Shchedrin, who do we have? What are they bringing to the fray?
Well, on the left-hand side, in the blue, we have ourselves Onord, otherwise known as Lord of the PTRSs, playing as Rosselsprung group. I'm not gonna try to, learn my German today. He's playing Vanguard income. Right-hand side in red, we have a Col Koenig, 42, playing 19th Tank Corps with a Flatline income. So this is the second divisional disaster tournament, this time being hosted by Herr Robert. The first run for Seal Division 2 was back in 2020, hosted by yours truly. Pretty much the gimmick of the tournament, you build a terrible division within reason as rules and limitations. Your opponent plays your terrible deck, you play your opponent's terrible deck. Best of run, one-day tournament. And as you can see here, just from the decks and from this opener, it's disgusting.
It's disgusting, yes, but it's kind of fascinating at the same time. Like, where else do you get to see Italian tanks in this game? You don't see them anymore.
No, we're seeing just down south, KFZs and a bunch of Pack 36s are rushing. I mean, Col Koenig is bringing in that one IS2 to try to zone things out. But both decks are pretty interestingly set up. Col Koenig's, a lot of airplane spam, not many tanks, but some pretty powerful runs. While Onord is really going to be dipping into the infantry, crappy infantry and crappy tank spam.
Exactly. Now, I know yours truly certainly did this a long time ago, which is very true to all of us. It was wonderful. So, what is so fascinating about the approach to this kind of deck? Like, how are people able to adapt on the fly? Like, what would you suggest for most people out there?
I find for these terrible division tournaments, it's mainly just about using infantry to try to screen control, because usually if how decks are set up, you don't have a whole lot of killer units, because your opponent is going to make sure you're not going to have the killer units available to you. So usually just cheap spam, if you're fortunate enough to get a hold of that, is usually a good way to go.
Like the biplane attack wing of, here's 5 guys chucking 15-pound bombs at the side of their planes.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that these things, right, the first guy here, he's just kind of trying to, get some coverage, but the Yak 1 Beast, technically he should be able to do pretty well with these, but it's World War I all over again, oh lord.
Bloody hell, it's a flying circus going to be bombing the crap out of those IS-2s.
And they get
and
one
kills
of them.
one!
Oh, jeez.
Damn. That's a very good pick-off, because there's not a whole lot of those IS-2s, and also as a flatline income, it's a bit difficult to be purchasing them.
Well, the kind of funny thing here, too, is that he was able to sucker out some of the early Yak 1Bs. That's 1/3 of the actual airplane coverage completely gone. So, despite the fact that he's got crazy, like, super killer tanks, he only has 6 of them. I'm sorry, he's got 5 of them. And his airplanes don't come out until much later. And so, actually, you were making a comment before we got started here. You said spam infantry. You made that comment again here. Is the 19th numbers, are they good enough to actually be able to balance this out? Or is it just sort of, sayonara kind of ideas here?
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of troops. They have their recon tab filled in quite a bit, but 2-man recon teams aren't exactly going to be pushing the front line here. So Koenig is really going to have to leverage aircraft spam later on to just blow the hell out of the front lines.
It is exactly going to be the case here. Now, the funny thing about this, though, too, is the T-3485 Komroti that we have down in the south, yes, it's not going to be an IS-2, but you know what? That thing is still scarier than pretty much anything that's over on the Unternehmen Rosselsprung kind of deck.
Yeah, pretty much every single of Col Koenig's tank is like bringing a modern tank, or being up-tiered so much in War Thunder. It's not going to have many of them, but by God, they can do a whole lot of damage. But at the same time, with a target-rich environment, which Onord is providing, they're going to have somewhat limited capabilities. You can only blow up so many cheap infantry.
That's true. I'm also actually quite surprised by Oh no, he's just bringing them in for recon. All the little rinky-dink biplanes coming back through, maybe getting recon and trying to get unmask some targets. Maybe that's what I'm seeing here. Yep, we got bombs coming in immediately. So K2's kind of being moved on in. Now, funny thing is, up to the northern side, as they kind of continue to putter on through, and indeed they're making strafing runs with those machine guns, which is charming and yet oddly terrifying.
Yeah. We're seeing the Akron Bees come in. The IK-2 does get slapped. And not even going to try to get the other biplanes. Is a little bit of anti-air, and the other IK-2 will ward him off.
Well, the thing is, too, there's an 85 mil at the top who might be able to get some shots off. No, just very much outside of that range. So it means that next, basically, layer of attack here is going to be down to the southern side. So the Brandenburg Pios, these guys, could be a heck of a lot better, but it could be a heck of a lot worse, too. But I guess
that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Aptos are just getting slapped at close quarters because double flamethrowers.
Yeah, I don't care how many Papashas you have, you're going to get popped regardless. No, and also the 738's been moved on in, so Commodati's, smoking that up. There we go. Maybe they'll be able to take out the Brandenburg Pios? No.
Oh no, T-34's getting a bit close. No. The smoke and the fire.
So that's, what, one-third? One-third of his tanks are certainly gone right about now. And, if you're Colonel Koenig, what do you do?
Rate to a C phase and just level the hell out of that hill with those bombers. You do also have some pretty good heavy artillery. Once again, it's all a right elephant gift, as they're all bloody expensive to bring out. So it's going to be hard to bring out those super weapons and actually have them take effect on the front line. Because if you buy them, you're not going to really have any other units on the front line to defend the bloody front line. And we're seeing this as the issue right now of Koenig down south. He barely has anything there. Up north, the town is just infantry spam to hell, and those 81mm mortars are going to start doing some pretty good work.
Oof. Yeah, geez, he chops one round perfectly on top of that anti-tank gun really, really easily. So I guess you're designing a deck. How do you do it? Like, what would be your prime kind of idea here for somebody else? How, we're playing against one another. Forget the fact that you're so much better than me already, sir. How would you screw me over? Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing is just picking a division with terrible infantry, so you can just get a ray of the bare minimum of infantry, give them a crappy income, like Flatline in this case, and then try to give your opponent as many expensive units as possible. Because those expensive units may be good, like an IS-2 is an IS-2, but when you can't really afford to bring them out in the field, they're not going to have much leverage.
That certainly does seem to be the case, doesn't it? Now, one of the things that it's going to be kind of interesting to see here is that we do have about 90 seconds, just a shade over 90 seconds, before Phase B hits. And Phase B, does Onord's deck really get that much worse over here in B? Or is it just sort of, them's the breaks?
It's pretty much the same. It's most of his stuff coming out in A phase, and then a bunch of C phase infantry reinforcements. That's really the C phase infantry reinforcements trend. Onord gets that nice injection, but he just has enough, cheap tanks to be able to keep spamming the battlefield. He should be doing pretty good. Also, with all the cheap artillery as well, it definitely helps out quite a bit.
Well, we do definitely have the IS-2s on the northern side, just kind of trying to go and maybe get some rinky-dink little peaks over here on KFZs, and just starting to try to kill things with maybe, just maybe, some long-range discretionary fire. Unfortunately for him, not the best visual range. You can see right now the 85mm is just getting shellacked by the 75mm, not off-maps, excuse me, the Gebirgs 36 75mm.
Yep, and we do see 152mm being brought out here from Koenig, and that should do some pretty good counter-battery work, I hope. That's what he is doing. Yep, that's exactly what he is doing, because he needs that counter-battery work. He probably also needs a little bit more recon on the front line. He has enough of it, that's for sure. Because that IS-2 is just a sitting duck. I'm just waiting for the planes to come in and bomb him to Kingdom Come.
Well, and it seems you have almost brought them in by saying Beetlejuice a few times, because we have two of them being brought in right about now. And 3 high K2s. They're just waiting to pounce on anybody who wants to pick on their little brothers. Oddly enough, also, the 81 mil. That's the first thing. Honestly, for me, I would be hitting the things in those towns. I know that the towns would be hiding some other material as well, so I don't know why looking maybe for the 81 mil. That's just me.
Yak run coming in. Get one. Gets two. And 85 mil is very much kablooey.
Yes, it is. It is, certainly. But we are into Phase B now, so let's see a little more injection as the flatline income. Yeah, it's a flatline, but we also have now Dushka's being brought on in for maybe some anti-air support. Ooh. But the Lebecchios.
Now, it is an old aircraft, but it has a lot of bombs for being a recon bomber. And he is just going to bomb the hell out of IS-2. Probably one more good bomb and run like that should get him off the battlefield forcefully.
That certainly does seem to be the case. Down to the southern side, there's actually another 203. Actually, no, 203 is just not engaging. But I'm looking around. I keep looking at the German deck here by accident. It's very, very curious to see all the 738s and things like that, and really should be able just to, let's say, force the IS-2 just to run out of ammunition.
Yeah. The IS-2 can only have so much impact on the battlefield, and all the other units are so bloody cheap, and we're seeing another recon bomber play here. One. Not going to get the second bombs off of the second Libiacho, but the biplanes are going to come in clutch.
Which is very, very strange to see. Now, the Dushkas, just a single 12-7, so I can kind of understand why you don't see really any ground fire whatsoever, but it's actually kind of depressing just not to see any ground fire whatsoever. Like,
yeah.
I feel kind of bad.
Getting completely pounced in the aircraft tab, which is funny considering Col Koenig's aircraft tab is quite deep, but only deep into sea phase. His only airplane reinforcements right now are U-2s, which aren't exactly great in the air defense role.
No, that's for sure. Although he does have those cluster bombs underneath them, so theoretically he can use them to start killing the swaths of light tanks that are just kind of marauding around the map. And down to the southern side, we are going to see Dushkas kind of being used over here in a more of an anti-infantry role. A couple Sapiris with Papashahs being brought on in. So, yes, things do look bad-ish, but if he can continue to limp over here until C, it's still a possibility.
Yeah, the one advantage is that all of Onord stuff is pretty bunched up on the southern hill and the middle lung, and also up north as well. So it should be pretty target-rich environment to just blow him to smithereens, even though he has a ludicrous... He's not going to get through, even in like a full-on 50-minute match, get through all of those aircraft. It's just... It's completely insane. You could say it's quite terrible.
Well, it's kind of crazy to me just to be like, oh yes, you know what? I don't really have to go give you anything worthwhile. Mitchells are terrifying, yes, when you have 30 of them all flying together and you're bombing some, German automotive factory for ball bearings. But, like, in this, here, now, no. Yeah,
there's an upper limit of aircraft, right? You just end up becoming, diminishing return. Like, 2 or 3 bombers is usually pretty good. But once you get to 12, and you bomb the same hill, you're not really getting that much better results. And the problem here for Koenig is just does not have enough infantry to affect the front line.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now he's using Dushkas over here as, like I said, anti-infantry support, and again, theoretically it works.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the same oomph in the long term, because that 12-7 not gonna do stuff in the long run. It's only 1,000 rounds on those trucks. So you can see right now to the southern side, 100 rounds already. Hasn't even killed the Aufklärer, just wounded it quite a bit.
We're seeing another IS-2 being brought on in. It's going to be pretty dangerous using that to attack up the hill once again due to the rather CQC nature of it. I think even just using that, he's got the 203mm artillery out, using that to just pound the southern hill for him to actually get a foothold on there. probably would go pretty well. He doesn't. Neither side really has off-map artillery, so they need to they need to use their on-map artillery in that off-map row.
Yeah, I was going to say, man. Oh, good lord. Do you think they're going to give him on-map artillery? What madness do you think these guys are here? But I'm actually kind of fascinated by the northern side. We have some L6s, which of course are just silly beyond all measure.
Yeah.
And the L6s, with a theoretically, are going to run afoul of this 45 mil. In fact, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, you really just need to keep him hidden in the town. I mean, all the light tank spam available to Onord works extremely well, especially on this map, as there's a lot of CQC areas. He just can't really, with anything, engage out in the open unless he just bombs IS-2s. Who needs anti-tank guns when you have, you know, a bloody squadron of Libettios?
Yeah, I believe those guys heard you make the comment about diminishing returns on bombers, and they said, excuse me?
Yeah.
So, another one of the Yaks goes down? Yep. Mm-hmm.
And another one, oh, that's just a bloody furball.
It's a one-sided furball. For the Yak, it's a bit of a hairball more than anything else. IK2. In fact, IK2, I don't think I've actually ever seen one of these played.
Same, it's just a really, I don't even know. It says it's Croatian. It's just a very weird-looking aircraft. Not exactly a good fighter aircraft, but in this tournament, you just have to take what you can get.
True. And also, okay, the cadet in here. So, 5 MP40s, 4 G43s, anti-tank guns, so like anti-tank grenades, excuse me. Not the worst in the world, but again, still, yeah,
they're pretty good. They're pretty, with the fanatical trait as well. They're like,
yeah,
Ersatz Troop and Rich aren't going to move and have anti-tank. They're pretty good infantry.
It's the idea, though, I think in my mind, is like, I still want to have those light machine guns. I know I'm aware of the fact G43s are always going to be strong. I get that. But to me, it's one of those things, like, I always want that LMG. If I get a squad within an LMG is a squad that's not really...
But you're not bringing them out to kill. You're bringing them out to be killed. Slowly.
Yeah.
See, I like my dudes to be meat shields.
And that's why you always main the Imperial Guard whenever we play 40k stuff.
Yes.
Or Tyranids, for that matter, but that's a completely different discussion for a different time. But Southern Hillside is slowly going in favor of Col Koenig. Is it quick? Heavens no. But there's that one Brandenburger Führer, and he might actually get 2 kills. 2 tank kills.
He might. No, the
absurd. Mm-hmm.
Panzer 35Rs trying to make a slow cavalry push like it's France in 1940, but it was 45 mils in a pretty good spot, and the 35Rs are, well, not the greatest tank. Even for 15 points, they're the bare minimum of what a tank can be.
They're the bare minimum, yes, but like you said, this isn't something where you actually care about what happens to them. This is where you just want someone to just drive on forwards in a certain direction. It's just like, attack! And he's like, where? So that's really all you need.
Yeah, and the 45s are slowly picking them off. Now, Col Koenig has actually managed to stabilize it quite a bit, which I'm quite surprised. He's been, you know, bled out pretty heavily so far, but now it's 11-13. His real hope is once he gets into C phase, once again, bringing out the bombers. He's got a foothold up north, but it's going to come down to the infantry, and I don't think he has enough infantry to survive a long match, because this will be going the distance.
That's true. I think it's one of those things that if he can get even one bomber out, though, he might be able to freak out and stabilize just long enough. But I don't know if that's going to be happening here. I think that is certainly a tough ask.
I do like his Duska push through the lungs here. It's actually a very good push, because there's nothing here to stop his. Of course, out 35 Vans can always relocate, but we're also seeing another push of superior PPSHs try to get into the hill, but the Brandenburg Pioneers are going to be holding.
Yes, and 20 seconds more until he actually can get some real, actual equipment. And look, he started to bleed out Onord. Oh boy, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Now, the 35S is kind of stamping paid to that Dushka push. That Dushka push is now dead. But maybe, just maybe. First of all, we have a U2 being brought on in. And he's going so slow, I'm pretty sure the 20 mils have to shoot back in time to actually aim at him.
I think he's flying so slow he's actually going in reverse.
You know, you might be right. It's not like moonwalking an airplane. I don't know if that's possible, but I think the command is showing us.
Oh, down south, this IS-2, once again, really precarious position here, Mr. Koenig. You probably don't want to leave an IS-2 alone on the hill, because, well, a Pak 36 with I can't say it, the bloody heat rocket can blow you up quite easily.
True. And it certainly does, as you can kind of see here. So, I mean, we're looking at this right now. We got Superior's being brought on in. The 203's fallen silent a long time ago. I think at this point, what, four of the 6 tanks are dead? 5 of the 6 tanks are dead? I know we still have the one up north, but that might be it. It might be the last IS-2 ever being made by anybody.
Yeah, and it can provide very good fire support, but it's just too much infantry for him to deal with. You know, as we're seeing now with the fire support, especially if the Duskham's being brought out, he is starting to win these infantry engagements as, well, the Ogmanshiki aren't exactly beefy infantry, but a flamethrower is a good way to deter anyone to, well, evacuate the premises.
True.
Forcefully.
True.
And usually on fire.
Yeah, it's all about really kind of starting a little, ignite some, a new direction. Get some warmth out into the world. And I think they do very well at that.
Especially as we head into the fall.
Certainly. I mean, it's certainly an autumnal kind of thing. I think you're right. Pioneers are just really all about spreading that joy. Ooh, one Mitchell bombing run, which was rather underwhelming, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, a little bit north a bit, and he would have got a very good kill. But his Panzer 35S might as well be the King Tiger on this hill, because he is keeping everybody at bay.
Yes, and I think there is still one more IS-2 that's still kind of hunkering around the southern side. But I think that's going to be about do it for us today here. Yes, a bit of a bloody one. Oh, yeah, certainly for Col Koenig. But that just means that Onord was just very, very talented in the way he was able to kind of craft that deck. So well done to him.
Yeah, his deck is like that's nasty with the C-phase playing card spam because it does fit entirely within the rules, but it's just a whole lot of useless activation points and units set up, and you just have no frontline capabilities at all. You got these powerful, massive units which seem intimidating, but they can't do anything because they only, quantity very much is a quality.
That's true, and I'm surprised actually that the KD is as close as it is. If you're looking actually over here at this, yes, the Camaraderie, you can see, Scary killed many things. IS-2, Scary killed many things. Yak 1B, picking up 3 kills, given one of those is a biplane and one of those is heavily, heavily outdated. But I mean, like, there are a significant number of casualties. It's just that on the reverse side of things, we have, well, wasn't a whole lot of flesh to kind of hold up the, the Unternehmen. So, I mean, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, a lot of Onord's troops were pretty cheap, so pretty easy to kill.
If you look at the other side, for example, I mean, what's the killiest thing that we've got here? What, the Brandenburg Pios, maybe? Like that, or the Brandenburg Führer killing the Camaraderie? Other than that, I mean, no one's really kind of stands out more than just by sheer dumb luck.
It's mainly just the planes coming in clutch, just bombing those heavy tanks.
Yeah, was probably the craziest thing at the end of it too. But regardless, really, really well done over here, I think, to Onord. Any final thoughts about how this one went here, sir?
It was terrible.
It was terrible. It was a disaster, some might even say.
Yes.
Well, in that case, then, we're happy to deliver exactly what it said in the tin. But I think we have another one of these coming over here on Thursday, right, sir?
Indeed, we do.
Well, folks, in that case, then, you won't want to miss it to see what other kind of ghastly divisions get played. But until that time, I'm Connell Work.
I'm Rangroo. Take it easy.